I'm Mike with admissions. Really just want to welcome you to our university live stream. We are glad that you're taking some time out of your afternoon just to be with us and really learn about the different aspects of Schreiner, even from instructors. I know Dr. Bernard is a professor of engineering. We'll be able to talk about engineering, his aspects, as well as what he has as expectations, as well as having you engage in the classroom. Maybe even he might be able to talk about just really internships or research or anything of that nature. So without further ado, and I don't want to take his time, but I'll let Dr. Bernard just go for it.
Sure. So I guess my plan for this session is to talk for about 10, 12, 15 minutes or so. And so interrupt me if as we go, if you have a question, but otherwise I'll stop around halfway through and have plenty of time for questions at the end. So to start off, I want to talk about just the engineering program at Schreiner, because Schreiner doesn't technically offer an engineering degree. So our engineering degree is part of a partnership with another university. So by the time you graduate, you'll actually earn 2 bachelor's degrees by going Schreiner Engineering. So it's a dual degree program. Your bachelor from Schreiner is going to be in applied science. So you'll be an applied science major. Your second degree would be your ABET accredited engineering degree. And we have 5 majors to choose from. With our partner institution is the University of North Dakota. And they offer 5 different majors through this program. Mechanical and civil are the 2 most popular. And after that, petroleum, chemical, and electrical. So those are your 5 choices. So when you graduate, you'll get an ABET accredited engineering degree in, say, mechanical engineering. And then you would get a second bachelor's degree in applied science from Schreiner. I think basically the sort of advantages of this program are that you get prepared both for grad school and for immediately joining the workforce. That is the ABET accredited degree. That's something that jobs are going to look for to hire you. The applied science is a little more theoretical. We include a few extra math courses and some programming courses that would be more prep for if you plan to go to graduate school after you finish. So by completing both degrees at the same time, you're kind of prepared no matter what happens your senior year. Usually what we recommend for students is look for a job, and if you get a job that would make you happy, take it. And if you don't get a great job, apply to some grad schools also, and then that's kind of a backup plan, and then you can get a job once you get a master's or PhD later on down the road. So 2 bachelor's degrees. We partner with the University of North Dakota because the industry up there is very similar. North Dakota and Texas are very similar in that a lot of the same companies that have offices and businesses and things up in North Dakota are also located here in Texas. So a lot of the same companies that are hiring graduates in North Dakota are hiring for Texas jobs. Think oil, ranching, right? There's a lot of the industries the same up there as down here. There's kind of a mixture of both. That is a small school and large school that also works very well. It's hard to find engineering programs at small schools like Schreiner. They're extraordinarily rare. Engineering programs just require a lot of large equipment. They're big. So they're mostly found at very large public schools. So by coming to Schreiner, you get the advantage of having 23 students in your chemistry course instead of 230, like you would find at even a medium-sized school, right? I did my undergraduate at Tulane University, which has around 10,000 students, and I still had 180 students in my chemistry class freshman year. So you get to come to a small school, you get small class sizes for those lower level courses, but then since we are partnered with a larger university, you get all of the upper level elective courses that a large university can offer. You also get access to all of the lab equipment that we don't have here on campus, and you'll get access to that via Maymesters. Basically, you'll actually go up to Grand Forks, North Dakota for 1 to 3 weeks during either 1 or 2 summers, depending on which major you choose. And you'll actually use their lab facilities and meet all the professors in person. right? A lot of the courses during the semester that you take from North Dakota would be via distance education, but you'll actually you will go up there and see them in May for 1 to 3 weeks to complete lab courses to get the hands-on training that is so important for engineering. So I realized I skipped this kind of at the very beginning, but I should probably introduce myself a little bit more also. Since we talked about hands-on training, right? So my background was very hands-on in engineering. So my background was the U.S. Navy. So when I finished my undergraduate degree, I actually joined the Navy and served for 7 years on submarines. So my professional engineering background is nuclear power, right? All submarines in the Navy have a nuclear power plant on board. And so all officers on board submarines are engineers. And so when I joined, basically my senior year came and I was looking for jobs and just decided I wanted to travel and see the world and still use my degree. So I joined the military, served on the USS Albany out of Norfolk, did a couple deployments. Some of my jobs on the boat were doing chemistry and radiation, radiological controls in the engine room. And then up when I finally got to do the cool submarine warfare stuff, I was in charge of weapons training. So torpedoes and Tomahawk cruise missiles. Um, Usually think of submarines as just kind of doing spy stuff, but actually we actually carry a lot of missiles on board. And so when you hear of places in the Middle East getting attacked by cruise missiles, there's actually a decent chance they came from a submarine. So my final job in the Navy was at University of Pennsylvania. So I got stationed at the ROTC unit at Penn. So I do have the prestige of being able to say that I was an Ivy League professor for 2 years. I taught at University of Pennsylvania. And then when I left, that's when I decided to go back to grad school, get my PhD, and become a professor full time. I've kind of seen both professional, so my sort of professional experiences with the military and with government engineering. During grad school, I did do some consulting work. So I've also worked with think tanks in DC who did kind of defense consulting. So I have seen some of the private industry side as well as private internships during college. So I'm pretty good at answering questions about a lot of the different career paths that you might take. Right, I've had internships at kind of regular, boring engineering office jobs. I've done, defense contracting, which is really cool. It's, basically the experimental, like blowing stuff up. Been working with that kind of stuff. So some of the really fun engineering jobs that aren't just in the office, where you actually get on site. And then actually really application based, so I was actually operating a power plant. So I've seen quite a bit and can usually give you some advice. So kind of no matter which direction you have questions about. So I've been a Shriner for 6 years now, and the engineering program has grown a lot since I've been here. When I started out, we usually have between, say, 8 to 18 incoming engineering freshmen each year. That past couple, that's actually grown up to now we're usually getting around 35 or 40 engineering freshmen each year. And this partnership that we started with the University of North Dakota has also become very popular. The reason we started it was that originally we were a transfer program. You would come to Shriner, spend 2 or 3 years here, and then transfer to an engineering school and finish another 2 to 3 years there to actually graduate. And students hated it, right? You don't want to have to move and make all new friends right after you've been somewhere for 2 or 3 years. You don't want to start over, because when you go there, everybody there, like all of your peers, are older and know each other, and it's hard to break in. And so it ended up being kind of a lonely process for students who took that route. And so there was a lot of demand for a partnership that would let you stay on campus all the way till graduation. So this program launched 3 years ago. So our first wave of students is getting ready to graduate next year. So our first class was a small size, again, because we started off smaller. So we're going to have 3 graduates next year in the engineering program. The class behind them has 6 students in it. And then the freshman class this year is around, or let's see, the sophomores. So most students, by the way, I should say, are expecting to graduate in 5 years. So the program does take about 140 credits to finish. So normally a Schreiner degree takes 120 credits. Engineering, since it's 2 degrees, you have to satisfy degree requirements at both schools, takes about 140 credits. So that's about an extra semester's worth of credits. So we have some students, I think it's most common to stretch that out to a 5th year so you can take a little bit lighter workload. A lot of our students are also athletes, and they prefer to take a lighter workload during their travel season, their main competition season. So some students stretch it out over 5 years. That's why when I was counting how many students were in each class, I was kind of miscounting. Sorry, so I was saying there's 3 students to graduate next year, 6 students the year behind them, around 20 students in the sophomore class, and then around 30 students, 30 to 35 in the freshman class. So that first wave was small, but it has grown a lot. It's almost doubled almost every year. And so let's see. Oh, but sorry. So one last thought on that is that it can be completed in 4 years. If you want to graduate in 4 years, either financially or just because after 4 years you're going to be done with school, essentially you just need to either bring in some AP credit or transfer credit, or be willing to take a few summer courses. If you're willing to take a couple summer courses, that can essentially eat up that extra semester at the end. So that rather than kind of stretching it out to a full year, you can pull it forward and still finish in 4 years with a couple of summer courses in between. All right, feels like I've been talking for a long time straight, so I'll pause and see if some people have some questions, and if not, I can keep rambling on more, but I'd rather answer questions if you have any.
I do have one thing to add.
Sure, please go ahead.
So I understand the University of North Dakota has a degree program for GIS. And I was wondering if that would be, something that I could also do.
So
here at Schreiner, and then would the courses line up?
I don't want to say no, but let me say probably not.
Okay.
So right now we do not have a specific arrangement with them for that major, and it's a very long process to get a new program like that started. Something that takes more than a year to set up. So it's something that would not be able to be in place when you started. It's not that, so it wouldn't be impossible that maybe around your sophomore or junior year that we could launch that partnership or that program, but we would not be able to start you off on that from the beginning. And so I wouldn't want you to count on that from the beginning. So it's not impossible, but it's not likely.
So even if y'all don't have a partnership, would it be possible that I start taking, courses at Schreiner for, say, my first 2 years or a year or so, and then transfer over to North Dakota whenever Schreiner runs out of courses that apply to that major? Or
so essentially, yes. So that is possible to do.
okay.
Essentially, that fundamentally speaking, yeah, that would be the same. That would be similar to our old program where students came here for 2 to 3 years and then transferred and finished somewhere else. What we'd have to look into is whether we'd be able to get you a degree or not, right? It would be a shame to come here for 2 years and then transfer and not get anything to show for it.
Right.
Because right now our applied science degree specifically requires the credits that you get from another school to be engineering credits. So the applied science degree doesn't go with any destination degree. It's specifically for engineering or engineering technology. So I'd have to really look at it to whether the GIS is close enough to that field or not. It's not obvious to me whether it is or isn't. So I'd really have to look into that a little bit more.
Okay. Maybe I could email you about that and then.
Yes, yeah, that's a great idea.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Now, I know for me, I've got a question here, Dr. Bernard. Hopefully, I'm not putting you on the spot with this one. Would you be able to tell me if there's any type of internships or research opportunities through engineering?
Yes. So there's a couple of different paths that this will take, and let me actually start with job placement at the end, and I'll circle back to internships. So one of the nice things about this program is that since you're earning 2 degrees at once from 2 different universities, you have access to both schools' career centers, as far as like job fairs and things like that. So when it gets up to your senior year, you're going to be able to use Shriner's Job Fair or Job Placement Center in order to attend Shriner career fairs. So this will be like kind of Hill Country or San Antonio companies will come to Shriner campus to look for employees. We also partner with local public universities like UTSA and Texas State. It's just a professional courtesy between the schools that whenever they host a job fair, our students are allowed to attend. So it's not just their own students, our students can attend as well. And this is an advantage to the employers. So they don't have to go to every small school around the state. They can go to a few places and all the small schools can kind of participate. So we'll run buses or vans up to those schools when they have job fairs. So if you're doing kind of a Texas localized search, you'll have job opportunities here on campus, as well as all of the job opportunities that the larger public schools around us are offering. Now, if you're willing to do a nationwide job search, then University of North Dakota's career fair is going to draw in all the companies from the Midwest. So they get companies from like Chicago, Milwaukee, Minneapolis, Des Moines, even sometimes out west like Denver. They kind of get the Midwest is going to go recruit at University of North Dakota because they are the largest, right? They're the UT Austin of North Dakota. They're the largest state school. So they get all of this. So if you're willing to do a nationwide job search, especially if you're willing to move to the Midwest, then their career resource center is going to have a lot of nationwide opportunities. In addition to, as I mentioned before, that a lot of companies up there are hiring for Texas jobs. So in the shorter term, though, as far as kind of internships in the meantime, that's where you're going to really use our career center on campus for that. The North Dakota is not going to have a lot of good internship opportunities because usually for an internship, you need to find one probably in your hometown or where you have family or friends you can stay with. Otherwise, if you end up kind of traveling for an internship, you end up spending all the money you make on like room and board for yourself. And you usually, if you get an internship, you want the experience, but you also probably want to save up and make a little money over the summer as well. During the semester, we do offer a variety of research and project opportunities. Every year I host like 1 to 3 students that I mentor for engineering or computer science related projects. In the past, we've done things with drones. This year, we're doing machine learning, neural network research. In the past, we've also done some virtual reality projects in the past as well. And so I do some of those every year. We're also doing engineering competitions. So besides just research, we're actually having teams to actually send, to actually travel and compete. Either build something on campus, test it, get it working, and take it somewhere to test it. Or we also go to just like single day competitions where you don't do anything in advance, you just show up and they give you a competition and you just do everything right on the spot, kind of right there. It's like, lasts like 6 hours long where you get a couple of hours to plan and build and test, and then there's a competition in the afternoon. University of Houston hosted one this year that we sent 6 students to. I think they finished 4th place. So they were just off the podium. I'm not sure how many teams there were, but I think it was around 10 or 12, something like that. So they did pretty well, and they all came back and loved it. And so they're actually going to be starting a year-long team. So they had fun at the one-day event, but they actually want to do a much bigger event next year. And so we have them, they're actually formalizing themselves as an engineering club, and they're already looking for what sort of competition they want to participate in. So I think so we have a small number of opportunities to participate in a research project where you're sort of creating new technology. But we have a lot more opportunities for students to participate in design competitions. So that's actually what most engineering students who want to get involved and get some kind of professional development, do something fun, most of that will be participating in design competitions. We do design projects and classes as well. Pretty much every semester, every engineering class you take is going to have some sort of project competition as part of it, right? The freshman projects, we build like newspaper bridges, you build something that flies, you have to 3D print a balloon powered car that we all line up and race in the gym. Sophomore year, usually students are building bridges out of like metal and plastic. They're building robots or drones, and they're also like breaking things to measure material properties. Basically, find out like how much energy it takes, or whether beams are stronger, like laying down sideways versus standing up tall ways, things like that. So we do projects. Basically, there's sort of in-class competitions as well. Kind of all 4 of your first semester of engineering course, your first 4 semesters, there'll be engineering competitions built right into your classes.
Okay, I guess, yeah, no, that covers a lot of what I was just really wanting to know about, whether it was internships or just, just research opportunities. I know for me, when I was going through my undergrad and taking some physics and everything else, it was just the basic classes, but I didn't know this was something that had transpired over the years, or had become such a evolved just area. It just blows me away anytime I hear these things, even being in admissions, just seeing from where it first started to almost where it's at now. And I'm like, oh my gosh, just in the matter of 3-4 years, it's grown 5 years.
Yeah, if you're interested in staying in Kerrville over the summer, so either if you kind of live near Kerrville or able to commute here, or just want to stay on campus over the summer, because we do offer very discounted rates to stay on campus over the summer, to take summer courses or something. We have a lot of local internships available. So for example, as far as government positions, we have both the city like road development. I don't know. It's the people who like make the roads around here. Yeah. They always have an intern every summer doing civil engineering stuff. The Kerr County Engineers Office, so the county engineer, they hire an intern from Schreiner every summer. So I shouldn't say every, but for the past 3 summers, they've hired one every summer. We also get some of the rural telecom companies, right? A lot of like the major like internet and phone companies don't actually service all of the ranch area kind of west of Kerrville. And so some of those telecom companies have also been hiring interns recently to go out and do work over the summer. So if you are interested in staying in this area, we do actually have some specific contacts that have been very reliable as far as hiring an intern kind of every summer. If you're from Houston, Dallas, San Antonio, something like that, it'll probably change. Like every summer, we're going to get different companies that have opportunities each time.
Definitely. So, Dr. Bernard, if you don't mind me asking, and I know Jericho as well as Zach have heard me ask this question so many times to a lot of the instructors, and they're going to be like, Mike, you got to stop now. This is too much. You asking every single instructor this. But I always try to ask is, how many students do you have more or less in your classes, whether it's a freshman class or a senior class? What is the average that you see?
Sure. So I'll start from the big classes to the small. So the freshman classes, I say, are the big classes. Because we're recruiting because engineering has gotten so popular, we're usually having between 25 to 40 students in the freshman class. Although now that we're up to, if we get any larger, we'll split up into 2 sections. So the goal is to have around 25. If we have 35, like we kind of are okay with that. But if we get up to 40, we'll split it up into 2 classes. The sophomore year classes are usually around 20, and then the junior year classes are usually around 8 or so. So those first year classes that I say have like 25 to 40, that may seem like a lot of students to have in one classroom, but those classes are very project based. Like the intro to engineering course is very project based. And so you're almost always actually working in groups of 4. So it's not really like having 36 students, it's really having 9 groups. And so the classroom feels much smaller than it is, because you're working and you're receiving the individual attention and you're talking to specific small groups of students. So you're having a lot of small group interaction, even though the room is a little bit larger. And again, I know that's 40, 35 seems so huge here at Schreiner. And again, I think back to those classes that I took as an undergrad with 200, where the professor never even knew your name at the end of the semester. So again, but that's just at the beginning, but that quickly gets down to around 20 students. And then, like I said, the junior year classes, this is when students have kind of split up, and the mechanical students are taking different classes than the chemical students. So then class size is around 8. So then you really do get, the class actually becomes very tailored and focused to the individual students. And so when you have a small group of 8 students taking a class, it becomes really easy to spend, more time on something if it seems like people aren't getting it, or if everybody gets it right away, we move on to other stuff so we can save time for other things that are going to be harder. We have a lot more flexibility to sculpt the class around you specifically with some of those junior year courses, which is great because that's when it starts to get hard. So that's when it's nice to be able to customize it to exactly what helps you the best.
Definitely. No, I like that response. That's usually the response I've been hearing from just instructors, even instructors I didn't come across from my undergrad. The communications or just even psychology. It's what I'm hearing is that these classes are small, and me being a graduate of Schreiner can definitely attest to it. But I always like when an instructor can say, "This is really what I'm having in my class," and then even hearing an instructor say, "This is where I used to teach," or "This is where I went to school," and this is my class size that I was having to deal with. And I'm so glad that coming to Schreiner, it can have that one-on-one personalization and being able to help the student every step of the way. Even tutoring opportunities that are available. Because I know for me, it helped me out tremendously in so many classes.
Yeah, and there are a lot of different resources. So for pretty much all of your engineering coursework, you're going to have both peer tutors, meaning that you're going to have people who have like regular office hours and work hours. We also have professional STEM tutors who are actually like working professionals whose full job it is just a tutor for science, engineering, and math courses. We also have again, with our partnership with University of North Dakota, when you're taking North Dakota coursework, your upper during your junior and senior year, you will also still have a Schreiner professor assigned to that class. So you're not stuck with just a professor who's 1,000 miles away. You actually will still have an actual meeting time on campus with a Schreiner professor for your North Dakota coursework. So you have one professor at North Dakota who's actually going to be giving you your grade for the class, like writing the test. But you'll also have a professor assigned to that course here on campus, physically in the room with you, who can give you immediate feedback and answers to your questions to help you learn the material live and in person. So when I'm, working with students on their courses, if they have a question about what's going to be on the test, I can't answer that question for them. I don't write the tests. But if they have a problem, like professor said, this is going to be on the test and I don't understand it, then I can help them work their way. I can help them understand it, in person, live, immediate, with an actual scheduled meeting time to help you work. So again, with the partnership, you get, like I said, it really is, you get access to everything at both schools, really without much sacrifice.
Definitely, certainly. Well, Dr. Bernard, I know we're getting close in that time. We've got another minute or two. So I'm just going to ask openly, if anybody has any questions, please let us know. Even if it's a last minute question.
I do, if no one else
Yep.
has anything real urgent. Shoot, I wrote it down. Let me find my note.
Trust me, Zach, I'm right there with you when it comes to this notepad. It's all filled with just notes, and it's one of those, hold on, what was I doing yesterday? I'm right there with you.
Well, one of my questions was, is there like an application process for being part of a research project or an engineering club?
Yes, so for the engineering club, no, it's just sign up and you're a member. So now there could be a case where, depending on what competition they enter, some competitions do have limits as to how many people can be on a team. So there could be some specific cases where there would have to be some sort of screening process to figure who gets a spot. But as far as joining the engineering club in general, to go to activities or to compete in things that don't have limits, then no, that's just sign up and that's it. As far as being part of a research project, like I said, every semester I hire 1 to 3 students to work on a research project. That is application based. And so usually I try to plan a project. So right now actually is the application time for my project next year. So essentially I put out, all of the faculty one of the programs we have is Dean's Honor Scholarships. So the dean of faculty at Schreiner has scholarships he gives to students. I think it's around 30 scholarships. So 30 students can work 30 different projects all around campus. And so professors, we put up an advertisement, and then students can respond to that advertisement to apply to work for me on this project. And if they are hired, then they would receive a $1,000 scholarship in order to do that project next year. Sometimes we have other funding sources available. Like this year, I was able to hire 3 students with grant funding. So they were able to actually work, just sort of like work study. But instead of having a job on campus, their job was to work on a research project for me. And they just received a regular hourly paycheck for doing that work. So that will depend on the professor and depend on the year. But usually research projects, we do try to find a way to pay you for your time, because to do the project well takes a lot of time, and well, it's you've earned it. You earn that money, right? Doing that research. If you do a good job, you've earned a scholarship.
Well, hopefully you're doing a good job.
Well, yes.
Well, on top of that, research, it may even be published, and you have your name right there somewhere in the little bottom section, hopefully. But if anything, we're just going to wrap it up. Dr. Bernard, do you have any closing statements you want to give, or pieces of advice or anything?
No, I guess I would say that I do want to give kind of one plug for, if you go to the Schreiner website, you'll see a virtual tour where you can kind of see campus, because that's what I say. It's always nice to just come to campus for a visit. I do fully expect that we're going to be opened up in May or June. I think things are trending that way in Texas. So if you haven't been to campus, I would recommend come out, drive out to the Hill Country for an afternoon or a weekend here in May or June, when I'm hopeful, cautiously optimistic that we'll be opened up by then and be able to show you around and give you a tour, because that's what sold me on coming to Schreiner. When I was a grad student applying to jobs, when I came to campus doing my job search and came, and Schreiner offered me the job on the spot, and I accepted. I turned down other jobs to come here, because when I came to campus and saw it, I really loved it. And I told other schools, I'm like, no, thanks, I'm not interested anymore. I found the place that I wanted to be. So I think if you're thinking about it, come to campus and check it out. And if you've already kind of committed and then I'm looking forward to seeing you in August.
Definitely. Well, again, I know you guys are going to say, Mike, I'm tired of this copy paste. Stop it. I'm tired of constructed. I already know it, Zach. I already see it. But either way, again, I just want to say thank you, guys. Thank you for anybody and everybody taking some time out in your afternoon just to be with us and really be a part of these live streams, listen to the instructors, hear what they have to say, as well as you all asking questions. We really appreciate that. And I know, again, it's copy and paste, but if you have questions even 10 minutes after this live stream, or something you think about during the weekend, you're more than welcome to reach out to us. Send us emails. I'm pretty sure by now you can send an email to admissions@schreiner.edu. Let us know anything you have in mind, even if it's, Mike, what's the weather like? I'm tired of watching paint dry. You're more than welcome to reach out to us. Just want you all to know that we're here to help you out every step of the way of becoming, hopefully, a future Schreiner University Mountaineer. And with that, we hope you have a great rest of the day. And if I see you in other live streams, I'll look forward to that. But other than that, you have a great one, okay?